Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I wanted to show you how I take notes for my math class. So without wasting too much time, let's just get right into it. So I emphasize this notion in almost every single one of my videos, but you don't need 50 different types of stationery or pens to achieve this goal of having aesthetic notes or pretty notes. Honestly, for me, I really like the minimalistic style, so I only really use two supplies, one of them being a black pen and some sort of highlighter. Today I went with the Tombow dual brush pen. So the first thing I recommend for any math class is to find a separate piece of paper where you write down every single equation that you've learned in your class. This is super helpful, especially when you're someone like me who's terrible at memorization, and it can also be super helpful when you're studying for finals and like super big exams where you need to know like every single formula. Okay, so moving on, when I title my notes, I usually just take my highlighter and just write it in all caps. It's super easy, super simple, and I think it also achieves a pretty minimalistic meets aesthetic look. So normally if we have any vocab term that we need to define, I usually just highlight the term and then define it using a bullet point system. Pretty straightforward, I think. Now moving on to the more math specific content, you'll probably encounter some sort of graphs at some point in your high school math career. So depending on how graph focused your class is, you can usually get away with just using lined paper. So just as a reminder, when you're drawing your graphs, you don't need a ruler or some straight edge to achieve those super neat and straight lines. In fact, I just freehand mine and it works perfectly fine. Along those lines, you'll see that when I was color coding my graph, I actually made a little bit of a mistake, which looks annoying at first, but at the end of the day, these are just your notes and you may not even look back at it in the following couple of months. So please don't put more effort than you actually need to. Put your energy into other more productive things. At the end of the day, these aesthetic, Pinterest, pretty looking notes are not going to help you succeed. Rather, it's how you process and retain your information that's really going to help you get the grades that you want. So the next tip that I strongly encourage you to incorporate into your own notes is to actually work through and solve every single one of the practice problems that your teachers are giving you during class or during lecture time. Copying down step by step how to do a specific problem is so vital, because even if you seem like in the moment that you know how to do the problem, chances are by the time you get home, you may completely forget how to do it. So just having that step-by-step process there in front of you is just so helpful. Also, in the long run, even if you're looking back at this problem 8 months from now, you'll still know how to do it because you have this step-by-step solution right there. I also encourage you to take note of all the practice problems that your teacher goes over, because it can often show up on the test. Maybe it's not exactly number by number, word for word, but concept-wise, it could be very, very similar. So whenever we're going over these practice problems in class, sometimes the material that's being gone over can also refer back to content you learned from a previous lesson. So sometimes I'll actually take a sticky note and just kind of re-emphasize and re-highlight those key concepts that we learned from that previous lecture or that previous assignment, because it really helps you solidify your understanding on the unit, and also just looking back at it, it's just very easy to understand your notes. Another thing I find myself using sticky notes for is whenever we're working on practice problems in class or during a lecture that we review together as an entire class. So if I notice that I butchered or completely messed up on a solution to a particular problem, I will actually never erase my mistakes. Rather, I'll take a sticky note, write down the correct solution, and place it on top of my work. Especially in math classes, By looking over the mistakes you did, you can actually solidify your understanding in that unit or that concept, and you'll also ensure that you won't make that same mistake when it comes to the most important thing, which is usually your tests, but not always. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed and found these tips useful, and I will see you guys later. Bye!